Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to What's Better, Raw or Smackdown, episode 19. This is going to be some very interesting episodes. They're going to be putting over some WrestleMania angles on the Raw side. They're going to be putting over some Fastlane angles, and I'm looking forward to watching wrestling this week. And for once, I'm going to watch both shows live. I really don't watch both shows live anymore because of schoolwork and stuff. Well, I don't have to worry about that in this case because I didn't have school today, and I'm not going to have it tomorrow. And I did all my schoolwork before, so I could watch Raw and SmackDown live. Um, let's just get it started. Let's see which one's better this week. I believe Raw has been better than SmackDown. I think Raw actually was better than SmackDown last week. So we're gonna find out which one's gonna be better this week. If it's gonna be Raw or SmackDown. So let's stay tuned. Alright, so starting with Raw for February 20th, 2017. And there's a lot to preview for Raw this week. So let me just kind of get it started. We have the one thing I actually am really happy to talk about that they're going to be announcing tonight is Diamond Dallas Page to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017. Let me just read the thing. Diamond Dallas Page, a world champion turned fitness guru, will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2017 during WrestleMania 33 week. The news was first reported by RollingStone.com. DDP's journey to the Hall is an unlikely one, to say the least. The Jersey Shore native broke into sports entertainment in his 30s, started out as a manager in Vern Gagne's AWA, still working as a nightclub manager of Florida. Page took his flashy, aesthetic, enthusiastic from the clubs, coming to the ring clad in leather studs and diamond encrusted jewelry, and accompanied by beautiful bombshells he called diamond dolls on each arm. He backed up his brash look with trash talk on the microphone and cunning intellect in the corner. DDP led Bad Company to the AWA Tag Team Championships before heading to WCW. Then it kind of says you can we look at his bio and stuff. Page took charge of the Fabulous Freebirds as Michael P.S. Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin turned from Southern rebels to glam rock megastars, leading them to the WCW Tag Team titles. DDP also guided the early careers of Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Raven before stepping into the ring himself on a full-time basis in 1991. As a 35-year-old rookie, Page's chances of success seemed slim, but his unmatched work ethic and determination to succeed would pay off in the long run. Though he found moderate success as a villain in WCW, capturing the company's television championship, he broke out on a worldwide scale after turning down membership in the NWO. DDP found himself an unlikely man of the people, but he embraced the love of fans around the world, who continued to be amazed by the seemingly infinite ways Page found to catch his opponents out of nowhere with his signature move, the Diamond Cutter. DDP skyrocketed into stardom through his rivalry with the NWO and one of its top members, Macho Man Randy Savage, taking part in a thrilling series of matches throughout 1997. Page soon became one of WCW's top heroes and the man that celebrities like Basketball Hall of Famer Karl Malone and late night television icon Jay Leno wanted to team with when they stepped through the ropes. Years of hard work finally paid off for DDP at Spring Stampede 1999 when he defeated a trio of wrestling legends, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, and Sting, to capture his first WCW World Championship. Page went on to capture the title on two more occasions before WCW was purchased by WWE in 2001. During his career in WWE, Page tried to show the WWE Universe and some of the Squared Circle's most sour superstar what a positive attitude could do for them. His efforts resulted in a reign as WWE European Champion, which he successfully defended on the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. Yet, for all his accomplishments inside the ring, DDP is also a Hall of Fame human being. After stepping away from the Squared Circle, he dedicated his life toward helping people take control of theirs. He developed DDP Yoga, a fitness program based around the exercise that helped him stay in the ring game for so long. Page also used DDP Yoga to pay back two of his friends and mentors, WWE Hall of Famers Jake the Snake Roberts and Razor Ramon, by having the two legends move into his home and work toward getting back into shape. It is for his accomplishments in and out of the ring that Diamond Dallas Page is more than deserving of induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. Then it kind of says where the tickets are. So, Diamond Dallas Page is going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I honestly say he deserves it. He's probably done it. He's done almost everything you can do. He is a huge star, and he's just he's definitely a humble guy. He's helped a lot of superstars through bad times, like I mentioned, like Jake the Snake Roberts and Razor Ramon. I mean, they wouldn't have gone into the Hall of Fame if it wasn't for DDP. Who knows where they would be right now? So definitely well deserved, and I can't wait to see his Hall of Fame speech because it's gonna. And who could induct him? I could see Jake the Snake Roberts or Scott Hall. So another big news though is that's probably going to be announced tonight is the New Day to host WrestleMania. Let me read this part. So the power of positivity will shine on the biggest night in sports entertainment. As first reported by TMZ, the New Day will be the official hosts of WrestleMania 33. The popular triumvirate dropped by the set of TMZ Live to discuss the big announcement. What surprises will Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods have up their sleeve to make sure that this WrestleMania is the furthest thing from booty? The WWE Universe still remembers the New Day's larger-than-life entrance at last year's WrestleMania when they arrived for action in a giant box of bootios. Can they top that unforgettable moment on the grandest stage of them all? Find out at WrestleMania on Sunday, April 2nd, live on the award-winning WWE Network. So that's going to be interesting that the New Day is going to be hosting WrestleMania. The New Day, this would have been better if they had done it a year ago because the New Day's kind of gotten stale now, but the New Day is going to be hosting WrestleMania. It's going to be kind of awesome. I wonder what they're going to do. I think the New Day could do some great things, and I think maybe this is going to be the final time because maybe somebody will turn on the New Day and ruin their hosting, but we'll have to wait and see. So that's it for that. So now let's preview Raw itself. I've kind of talked about the big news about DDP going into the Hall of Fame and the New Day hosting WrestleMania. So let's talk about some stuff that's going to be actually on the WrestleMania, on tonight's Raw. So obviously we have a match between Big Show and Braun Strowman. They're trying to show Braun Strowman's dominance, and what better way than to take out than to have a match with the Big Show. This is a match that I think could be a decent match. Big Show is really in shape now. He's lost a lot of weight and he's really muscular. And Braun Strowman's a big guy and he's really agile, so this could be a solid match. And they've had past feuds before, but recently Braun Strowman has eliminated the Big Show in the Royal Rumble match at the Royal Rumble, so I kind of can't wait to see this match. It has some story behind it. Um, and then it talks about. So I'm gonna read the. Now I'm just gonna read the preview. Gallows and Anderson's WWE Fastlane challenges to be decided tonight. As first reported by WWE's official Twitter account, Enzo Amore and Big Cass will battle Cesaro and Sheamus in a number one contenders match live on Raw tonight in Los Angeles. WWE.com can now confirm that the winners of this belt will go on to challenge Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson for the Raw Tag Team Championships at WWE Fastlane on Sunday, March 5th. Tonight's participants and even Gallows and Anderson themselves reacted to the news on Twitter moments later. Last week on Raw, Cesaro defeated Enzo in singles action, and there was clearly no love lost between these aggressive and highly competitive teams after the bell. Will it be the certified G's who kick it into high gear en route to WWE Fastlane, or the Swiss Superman and the Celtic Warrior get an opportunity to reclaim the titles they lost to the so-called Good Brothers last month at Royal Rumble? So I can't wait to see that match. It's going to be good. As for a win, I think I could see this just being a no contest and having a triple threat match at Fastlane, just because I don't see Enzo and Cass winning, because if Enzo and Cass win, I think they'll win the titles, and I think that should happen at WrestleMania, so I hope that happens. So then we have next, will Bayley relinquish her title in light of Sasha Banks' controversy? This past Monday night, Bayley's childhood dream came true when she pinned Charlotte Flair's shoulders to the mat for the 3 count and captured her first Raw Women's Championship. However, it's unlikely that dream included a last-minute assist from a friend, Sasha Banks, who attacked the Queen with a crutch moments before the Huggable One scored the pinfall. Granted, the Boss was simply even in the odds after Dana Brooke rushed to ringside to aid Charlotte, but Bayley clearly had no intention of winning her first Raw Women's title under those circumstances, based on her Twitter exchange with the Queen. Mere hours before Raw, the social media exchange got even more heated when Charlotte demanded that Bayley surrender her title. Expect even more follow in the wake of this controversy on Raw. So it's going to be interesting. I feel like Bayley won't do it. It's going to lead to a match at Fastlane, while Charlotte Flair is going to win back the title because of that pay-per-view streak. Another thing is Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, best friends no more. WWE's first Festival of Friendship ended in calamity when WWE Universal Champion Kevin Owens carelessly attacked his supposed best friend Chris Jericho and sent the United States champion to the hospital. The true extent of Jericho's injury is unknown at this time, though one thing is certain: Jericho is no more. Now the prize fighter is truly alone as he prepares to defend his title against Goldberg at WWE Fastlane. Will Owens soon regret betraying the only friend he had in the Team Red locker room? So I can't wait to see what Kevin Owens does for an explanation and kind of what the follow-up is going to be of Kevin Owens turning on Chris Jericho. Then the last thing is, who can stop Samoa Joe? Triple H's Destroyer continued to live up to his moniker this past Monday night on Raw, ambushing Sami Zayn during a post-match interview, tossing him into the screen on the stage and locking the underdog from the underground in the dreaded Kokia Clutch submission hold. The attack came after Zayn called Samoa Joe a sellout, alluding to the Samoan submission specialist association with the game. As Zayn looks to gain momentum on the road to WrestleMania, will he retaliate against Joe this Monday night, or will Joe's destruction continue unabated? Don't miss any of the action on Monday Night Raw, live at 8/7 Central on USA Network. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Samoa Joe this week. I expect Sami Zayn to fully come back and them to lead to a match at Fastlane and finally set that match up. And obviously we have some other one other news that might happen is we're possibly going to get the return of The Rock. Um, they are in Los Angeles, and The Rock is there. He's making a movie for Paige. He's producing a movie for Paige, and it's going to be interesting to see if he's there or not. And if he does show up, what will he do? Will he come out and confront Kevin Owens? Will he come out and confront, like another heel in the company, Samoa Joe maybe? What will The Rock do when he shows up? Only time will tell. So now that I've kind of talked about this stuff, I am going to review Raw, and this time I'm going to be watching Raw live. So it's going to be pretty damn excited. Okay, so now we have the actual show itself, and it kind of feels weird. It feels weird kind of watching Raw live, because I haven't watched Raw live since just before the Royal Rumble, so it feels kind of weird doing it again. I actually thought the show was gonna drag out on a little bit longer, but I guess I actually looked at my clock during the women's segment, the second one, and I'm like, wow, it's like 10 o'clock. And then it kind of I'll admit, it kind of did drag a little towards the last hour. I definitely think it is that last hour that does make it drag. But I think since I haven't watched Raw actually live, it was a little bit more of a refresher for me. So let me just kind of talk about the show. So we had Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton on commentary for this show. And Kevin Owens cut a promo. And he talks about how... and when Kevin Owens comes out and cuts his promo, it's the lights in the arena are completely dark, and it just has a spotlight of Kevin Owens. And I thought that was great. And he says, and finally, it's about time that the spotlight is on me. And he says, I bet everyone's wondering why. And we think he's going to talk about the Chris Jericho situation, but then he says, why I'm going to beat Goldberg at Fastlane. No, actually, no. Well, yeah, and retain my WWE Universal Championship. And he says that nobody would have ever expected me to be in that match. And if you had asked me that as a kid, you would be right. And then he says, but I believe I would be the Universal Champion. I would be in the match, but the fact that I would be facing Goldberg. And he talks about how he never cared for Goldberg. He never cared for him as a kid. He never saw what the hype was behind Goldberg. And then he says that everybody always talks about how Goldberg has all this hype behind him and that he's just going to be another victim of Goldberg. But he says that he never cared for Goldberg. He thought Goldberg was someone that was overrated. And he even talks about how there was how he ended up beating Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar took him lightly, and that could happen to Kevin Owens, where he said that that's not going to happen because this is an aggressive side of Kevin Owens. And then Kevin Owens talks about how how Goldberg had defeated Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series in a minute and 26 seconds. And he said that same thing could happen to Goldberg, to him, but that's not going to happen because Goldberg, he found out what his weaknesses are, and that is to be in long matches. And Kevin Owens has a longevity in matches. And he says that that's going to be Goldberg's downfall. He says he doesn't have to beat Goldberg, but he just has to survive it long enough where Goldberg gets tired. And then he says that Goldberg talks about how my Universal title and me is next. Well, Goldberg, you're nobody. Well, he says you're nothing or nobody or something like that. And then he says, and as for Chris Jericho, and then he just drops the mic and gets out of the ring. I thought this was a really good promo. I thought the segment was fantastic. This was definitely great to see Kevin Owens back to the serious Kevin Owens. Like, I did like him before when he was comedy and when he was with Chris Jericho, but this is like the serious badass Kevin Owens that I liked. The guy that was taking out people. and this is the Kevin Owens that we need going into Fastlane to face Goldberg. And I just thought this segment was fantastic. I especially like the part where Goldberg, where he talks about Goldberg and his matches like in WCW and everything, and he just rashes on Goldberg, and I thought it was great. And the fact that he had the spotlight on him and he was sitting down in the steel chair, I thought made the segment really work. I thought this was a fantastic segment by Owens. And it makes me, I really hope he ends up retaining his title at Fastlane, but I really doubt that he's going to. I just don't think it's going to happen. So then we had the next match. It was a Raw Tag Team Championship number 1 contenders match. Cesaro and Sheamus versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass. And Enzo Amore and Big Cass do their big stick. And they talk about how they're going to become the number 1 contenders of the Raw Tag Team titles. And they had the match. And this match actually I thought was a really good match. I thought it really delivered. Sheamus hits a heel kick in the corner onto Big Cass. And then eventually Cass and Amore dominates Sheamus for a while. And then eventually Sheamus hits a wicked clothesline onto Enzo Amore. And Cesaro hits an uppercut on him on the outside. And Sheamus and Cesaro dominate Enzo Amore for a while. But then eventually Big Cass gets the hot tag. And he starts going off on Cesaro. He hits a side slam on him, and he goes for the big boot, but Sheamus kicks him in the back of the head, and then Cesaro hits the uppercut on him. Big Cass kicks out. Cesaro hits a corkscrew crossbody. Big Cass kicks out, and then eventually Sheamus takes out Enzo Amore, and Big Cass takes out Sheamus, and then Big Cass hits the Irish River Crossing, the East River Crossing on Cesaro for the win, and Enzo and Big Cass become the new number 1 contenders. And afterwards, Enzo Amore gets on the mic and says that now they're the number 1 contenders of the Raw Tag Team titles, and all of them are just a bunch of chicken fingers, and he keeps saying it over and over. And Sheamus comes over, just bro kicks Enzo Amore, and because he's pissed off, and then Sheamus and Cesaro stand tall. So I actually thought this was good, and now we're going to get Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson for the Raw Tag Team titles at Fastlane, which I'm down with. And I don't think Enzo and Cass should win the titles there just yet. I think they should win them at WrestleMania, and I hope that's what happens, but we're going to have to wait and see. But overall, this was a really good match, because it actually was unpredictable. You didn't know who was going to win it, whether it was going to be Cesaro and Sheamus or Enzo and Big Cass, so that's why I liked it as well. And then Kevin Owens is backstage, and he's got his suitcase and he's leaving. But then Mick Foley comes up and says that Kevin Owens still has a match tonight. He's facing Sami Zayn. And then Kevin Owens says, I thought you liked Sami Zayn. And then he says that if you keep putting me in matches like this, then you're going to have a long injury list and not enough guys in the locker room. I thought this was great. And then it shows a video package of Braun Strowman showing his dominance in WWE. And then it shows a video package of Bayley building her up to when she won the Raw Women's Championship last week. And then Mick Foley's backstage, and Roman Reigns comes up. And Mick Foley's like, I know you want to face Braun Strowman, but you're going to have to wait till Fastlane because we have a main event that we need to prepare for tonight. So Roman Reigns says that he can have his main event, but he says he's going to take out Braun Strowman at Fastlane. And then Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson come up. And Gallows and Anderson talk about how they have unfinished business with Roman Reigns, so they want something done about it. So Mick Foley says, okay, well, you guys will do something about it. You guys will have a match, and Roman, you can go find a partner. But Roman Reigns says that he doesn't need a partner, so it's just going to be a handicap match. I thought the backstage segment was fine. And then the next match, it was the Brian Kendrick versus Akira Tozawa. And since this was a cruiserweight match, Austin Aries took Byron Saxton's place on commentary. And the match never happens. The Brian Kendrick demands Akira Tozawa to shake his hand, and he refuses. But then eventually he gives in. He goes to shake his hand. Kendrick takes a cheap shot at him, beats the crap out of him, and he hits like a neck breaker into the turnbuckle while it's like exposed, which I thought looked really cool. And then Kendrick gets him into the captain's hook, and then he leaves. So I thought this was a good segment here. And I'm happy they didn't do the match yet because you don't need to do the match yet. You can do the match at the kickoff at Fastlane, or you can do it on an episode of 205 Live. So I'm happy this match. Um, I'm happy that this match hasn't happened yet because you don't just because you can do the match now doesn't mean you have to. And then afterwards, the Brian Kendrick gets interviewed backstage, and he says that he talks about how in 1999 he signed his contract in WWE, but yet people have kept disrespecting him, and he's not going to let a guy like Akira Tozawa disrespect him. And he says that that's going to be his first lesson in respect. I thought it was a good promo. Then we had the next match. It was a 2-on-1 handicap match. Roman Reigns versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. I thought this was a solid match. Roman Reigns hits all his moves in the beginning. He dominates the matchup. He hits a drive-by drop kick on Luke Gallows, and then he beats up Carl Anderson, puts him in the ring. And then behind the referee's back, Luke Gallows hits a big kick to the head. They dominate the matchup for maybe like a couple of minutes. And then Roman Reigns makes a comeback. And eventually Carl Anderson gets... He dumps him out of the ring. Carl Anderson gets a steel chair. And Roman Reigns fights him off. And then he grabs the chair. And he hits Luke Gallows with it. And he keeps hitting them both repeatedly with the steel chair. And so Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson end up winning by disqualification. So eventually Roman Reigns hits a Superman punch on Gallows, and Anderson tries to go off the top rope, but Roman Reigns ends up spearing him in midair, which I thought looked really cool, and Roman Reigns ended up standing tall. So I liked and hated this. I liked it because it made Roman Reigns look strong, and it made him look like a badass going up to facing Braun Strowman at Fastlane. I didn't like it because you used your Raw Tag Team Champions to kind of build up Roman Reigns. I kind of think you should have done maybe somebody else. Because maybe Rusev and Jinder Mahal or something like that. I know it hurts Rusev, but it's better than Gallows and Anderson because I think the Raw Tag Team Champions shouldn't be looking weak. They should be looking strong, but that's just me. But I fully expect maybe next week it's going to be Gallows and Anderson versus Reigns again, and this time it's going to be a no DQ match. So, just because that's where I see it going. Then we had the next match. It was Rusev and Jinder Mahal with Lana ringside versus Kofi Kingston and Big E with Xavier Woods ringside. And the New Day come out and cut a promo, and they talk about how they're going to host WrestleMania, and they're going to do all this other stuff, Xavier Woods is hosting some Game Awards show. They're trying to do voiceovers for the Three Hyenas and the Lion King, which I actually thought was funny. And then they say they're going to host WrestleMania, but they say they're also going to be bringing back... They're going to be giving him New Day ice cream, and Bo Dallas thought that he actually destroyed the plans from last week, but then luckily they were able to remember everything that they put on it and put it in electronically. So then Lana has stolen the plans somehow, and she starts reading it off, and they're like, "How did you get that?" And then I think Big E says she's Russian, so it makes sense, which I thought was kind of funny. So they try to get it back, but Rusev is standing in their way. So then the match starts. I'm not going to lie, I really didn't pay much attention to this match, but I know Rusev and Jinder Mahal, I believe, dominated Kofi Kingston for a while. Then Big E gets the hot tag, and eventually Rusev kicks Big E in the head. Kingston dumps Rusev out of the ring. So then Lana's rooting for Rusev, and Xavier Woods blows the trombone behind Lana, so the scares her, so he takes the iPad and he smashes it so she can't see what the plans are, even though he could have just deleted them off the iPad, but whatever. And then Big E and Kofi hit the Midnight Hour on Jinder Mahal for the win, which I'm still surprised Jinder Mahal is passing any wellness tests. I'm surprised he hasn't been wellness tested yet, because he still looks like he's on them steroids. He has this new name called the Built Up Man or something like that. We know why he's like that. And then it's sort of video package for George the Animal Steel. Obviously everybody knows he ended up passing away on Friday actually, and it's really sad actually. He was definitely one of the great legends in the business. I actually have an action figure for him, and I didn't grow up, but I watched a lot of his past stuff, and I loved George the Animal Steel. He was great. He was so hairy at the time, and he was just definitely he was definitely like a strange gimmick, and it made it really cool. The green ton, I used to love it when he would eat the turnbuckle out of the eat the padding out of the turnbuckle, and would throw people into it. Obviously, his affection with Miss Elizabeth, um, and how he loved Miss Elizabeth. Um, and you had people talking about him like Kevin Hart, um, Bret the Hitman Hart, and who else was talking? Like a bunch of legends. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. I can't really think of anybody else at the moment. There was bunch of legends talking about him, and it does suck that he's passed away. And he actually was in a movie before, so Bruno Sammartino was talking about him. So it does suck that he ended up passing away. And also they didn't do a tribute video for him, but also the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff ended up passing away as well. I think he passed away yesterday, I think. And that really sucked. He was, I don't know a lot about him, but he's someone that's, like someone you don't want to mess with. Obviously, the most memorable moment of him is when he ended Bruno Sammartino's longest reigning WWE Championship reign ever. That's obviously something that's probably the most memorable thing he's ever done. So, but he was definitely a great legend as well. And it does kind of sucks we're losing all these legends, back in the day, like George the Animal Steel, like the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff. It sucks, So then next we had the Cruiserweight Championship contract signing, which was hosted by Austin Aries, and Jack Gallagher. Austin Aries puts down Jack Gallagher, sort of, but kind of puts him over. He says that, he doesn't really like the way he wrestles. He hates the way that he wrestles fair and square, but he congratulates him on becoming the number one contender to the Cruiserweight Championship because of his skill. And Jack Gallagher thanks Austin Aries. And says he doesn't care for the way he wrestles, and he ends up signing the contract. And then Neville comes out. He signs the contract. And I forgot to mention, too, they also had biscuits and tea out there because that's whole Jack Gallagher's old gimmick. And Neville then goes to leave, and Jack Gallagher offers him to stay. He says he doesn't want any, he doesn't want there to be any hatred between them. He wants them to just have a good gentleman's match. And Neville says, "Look at you. You're playing a gimmick. You're being the stereotype Britishman that everybody else wants you to be." And he makes fun of him, and he said that, my type of British style was the real type, where you go and fight in the streets. And I thought that was great. And he says, and I tried being that way when I was in the WWE, but then I realized I didn't need to cater to any of these people. And he even says that, Jack Gallagher's afraid, and Jack Gallagher just plays a gimmick. And Gallagher says that he's not playing a gimmick. He doesn't take... the beard, the mustache that he wears isn't fake. The suit isn't fake. This was just the way he was brought up. And he says that he is going to defeat Neville at Fastlane and become the new Cruiserweight Champion. Then Neville takes the stuff down, tips over the table, and he's like, "What are you going to do? Are you going to have a little fancy duel about it?" And then Jack Gallagher takes him down, and they start fighting. And then Gallagher hits a headbutt right to Neville, and that headbutt was awesome. And it drives Neville out of the win, but I think I think there might have been something that would happen, because you saw Jack Gallagher kind of act all woozy after that headbutt. I think they really collided heads, because he was kind of all woozy. And then afterwards, Neville goes to get in the win, and Jack Gallagher grabs William III, and he threatens to beat Neville with it, so then Neville takes off. And then that was it. I thought this was a really good segment. It was definitely a good way to put over the Cruiserweight Championship feud. And for once, the Cruiserweights actually got a segment on the show. It was actually nice for a change. It was actually a nice way to build it up, and I thought it was really good. Then I can't wait to see the Neville Jack Gallagher match for the Cruiserweight Championship. Then we had the next match. It was Nia Jax versus Sarah Pierce. Nia Jax squashed her. I don't even think Sarah Pierce got any offense in. She just hits the Samoan drop and the leg drop for the win. And afterwards, she gets interviewed asking what she thinks about the controversy that happened last week in the Raw Women's Championship match. And Nia Jax says that pretty much if that happened to her, that wouldn't that wouldn't happen, and that was about it. Nothing to this. And then it shows another Black History Month video package, and it had people like Cedric Alexander, Rich Swann, Sasha Banks, Alicia Fox, and Mark Henry hyping it up. And they paid tribute this time to Barack Obama, who was the last president before Trump of the United States. He was the first ever African American president. And it was kind of weird they paid tribute to him because I really didn't think... I mean, the only thing he's really done history making is that he was the first African American president. He didn't really fulfill anything he said he was gonna do, and he really didn't do anything like all that big for the country. So, whatever. The only thing that he's gonna be remembered for as being president is that he was the first African American president. So, and like I said, it's WWE yet again pretending that they care about Black History Month when we know that isn't the case. So, and I just hate these video packages because they sound so scripted. So, it's just kind of how I feel. So then Bayley responds to the next segment is Bayley responding to Charlotte Flair's demands of because I talked about it earlier in the video, but Charlotte Flair wanted Bayley to relinquish the Raw Women's Championship back to her because of the controversy last week. So Bayley comes out and she talks about how great of a moment it was to finally win the Raw Women's title. She talked about how she was on the phone with her dad about it, and she thanks him for bringing her to all these wrestling events. And then she talks about how there may have been some controversy last week, but I still pinned Charlotte and kept my Raw Women's title. And then Stephanie McMahon comes out, and Stephanie McMahon tells Bayley that, it must be a great moment that you won this title, but, you're a huge inspiration to everybody here. You're even a huge inspiration to my 3 little daughters. And she says that you shouldn't be able to win a championship the way you won the title. You should have pride in it. You've worked really hard to win. And she even talks about, how you come up here and promote this all... I'm going to hug everybody thin, and it's really inspirational, but at the end of the day, it's just Bayley. And she says that you need to do the right thing and hand over that Raw Women's title. So then Bayley acts like she's going to do it. She's thinking about it. Then Sasha Banks comes out, and Sasha Banks tells Bayley not to, and then Stephanie McMahon says that, look at this, Sasha Banks is coming out here again. You can't fight your own battles. Sasha Banks always has to constantly interfere in your matches, and she has to interfere in your promo segments. And then Sasha tells Bayley not to listen to her, listen to me, and listen to all these fans in here. They believe in you. And then Stephanie McMahon and Sasha start going back and forth, and Bayley cuts them off and says that Stephanie McMahon is right. The Raw Women's title should be fight with honor, and there shouldn't be any controversy behind it. So does that mean, am I going to give up the Raw Women's title? And then she says, hell no. She said that she beat Charlotte Flair for the 3rd time, and she said that she's worked hard to get this title, and she's not willing to give it up. And then Charlotte Flair comes out, and she says that she apologizes in behalf of the women's division for Bayley and Sasha not treating her right. And Charlotte Flair says that she doesn't want the title to be relinquished. She wants to take the title back. And she said that she's going to be invoking her rematch clause at Fastlane. So that means Bayley's probably going to drop the title because of that pay-per-view streak. And then Sasha says that Bayley's going to defeat Charlotte Flair at Fastlane because she's a good champion. But she said that she wants to she said that her knee's fully healed, and she wants to have a she challenges Charlotte Flair to a match, and Charlotte Flair accepts and she said that this time she's going to put Sasha in a wheelchair. So we had the match, and Bayley was doing guest commentary for the match, and the match I thought was pretty good. Obviously not the best match that they've had. They've had way better matches. And Charlotte dominates the first half of the matchup. She works over the injured knee of Sasha Banks, and she ends up hitting 2 backbreakers in a row and just cranked on the neck. And then Sasha Banks starts making a comeback. She hits a double knees from the apron to the outside, and then Dana Brooke comes out and she tries to interfere in the match, but then Bayley ambushes her from behind, and then Sasha Banks get gets the Banks statement in on Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte Flair ends up tapping out, and Sasha wins, and then that was it. I thought this was fine. I'm happy Sasha finally won a match, so I'm happy about that. Did it make sense for her to lose, for Charlotte Flair to lose? Probably not, since she's got a title match coming up. But you know how this works. She's gonna win at Fastlane anyway, so why not let Sasha Banks look strong? You know, would have made sense. Kind of would have made more sense though if Sasha did lose, because I hear they want to do the Bayley Sasha Banks match in the future. So you could have had Sasha lose this match because of Bayley. I thought that would have made sense, but what they did was still fine. And then it shows a video package of Diamond Dallas Page going into the Hall of Fame. Kind of talked about it earlier in this video, and you know they even they had some people hyping him up like Eric Bischoff, Mick Foley, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and they were just really hyping him up on how he was a big star. And he was a big star at the time, and when he won his first WCW title, they even showed when him hitting the diamond cutter on Scott Hall when he was about to join the NWO. Some great stuff right there. And then we had a Sami Zayn interview. Actually, I even got to meet DDP too. I never even said that. I met him a few years ago at my first Top Rope Promotions event, and actually, he ended up going out and laying out Biff Busick, who's now Orny Loken in NXT, and at the time I believe it was because Biff Busick was defending his interstate title, so he cut a promo, and Biff Busick ended up laying him out with the Diamond Cutter. Not Biff, well, Diamond Dallas Page ended up laying him out with the Diamond Cutter, and it was great, and DDP is pretty much the reason why we have the LKO today. He's, the LKO is a huge move because of DDP, if you think about it. So, happy to see him go in the Hall of Fame. He deserved it. He's deserved it for years, and he's helped a lot. I mean, I kind of hate that they didn't really talk about how he's helped Scott Hall and Jake the Snake Roberts through the dark times. I wonder if they didn't want to talk about it because they didn't want to have it be bad publicity for the wrestlers or what, but whatever. The next, Sami Zayn gets interviewed, and he actually talks about how 5 months ago how he came on to the highlight reel and he told Chris Jericho was going to happen, and he says that he doesn't like to be right when it comes to Kevin Owens, but he is right. And he says that Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe have gotten to the top by stabbing people in the back, and he says that that's not going to slide anymore. He says eventually one day stuff is going. Eventually one day they're going to feel on top, and then things are going to deteriorate behind them, and then he says that eventually Samoa Joe is going to have to deal with me, and Kevin Owens has to deal with Goldberg at Fastlane, and also has to deal with me tonight, which is even worse. So then we had that match. I thought the promo, by the way, with Sami Zayn was very good. But then we had the match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I don't know if that was the next thing. Yeah, that was the next thing. And before the match, Samoa Joe ambushes Sami Zayn. He beats the crap out of him. He throws him head first to the steel post. He does it 2 more times, and then he hits a senton on the floor, and he leaves. And then Samoa Joe, he leaves. And then Sami Zayn gets in the ring, and he still wants to go forth, continuing the match. Anyways, Kevin Owens picks apart Sami Zayn. He hits 2 cannonballs in the corner, and then he eventually hits the pump-up powerbomb for the win. I thought this was a very good segment. It made Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens look strong. And obviously it kind of gives you that lingering wondering if Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens are in an alliance with each other. Just because you have Kevin Owens, who was talking to Triple H last week, and then you have Kevin Owens, who, Samoa Joe, who's also aligned with Triple H. So I definitely think there's some sort of stable coming with Samoa Joe, Samoa Joe, Triple H, and Kevin Owens, and also Stephanie McMahon, since he's married to Triple H. And I think that would be awesome. Like, that would be a kick-ass stable. It would definitely be better if Triple H was more in his 2004 role. But whatever. So yeah, I thought that was really good. Because Because, we don't need to see another. You could say, yeah, we could have seen the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match, but it's better what they did. We've seen a Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match. We're not going to see it. We obviously are going to see it again at some point. So I thought what they did really worked. Because what else can you really do more in a Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match? I mean, there's probably tons more you can do. They probably haven't even scratched the surface about what the matches they could do, but you get what I'm trying to say. And I just really like the way Kevin Owens was booked on the show. He was serious. He wasn't, being comedic. So I liked it. I thought, and Kevin Owens, I feel like this is why he should beat Goldberg at Fastlane, because if he loses to Goldberg, all his momentum is just gone. But it doesn't feel like they're going in that direction. And then Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley are backstage, and Stephanie McMahon's upset with Mick Foley that he didn't come out there and defend her when Sasha Banks and Bayley were making fun of her. So Mick Foley says that he would have come out there, but he would have been defending Bayley. And then Stephanie McMahon doesn't like the way Mick Foley's acting. She thinks he's being a smartass. He doesn't like the way he acted during the Samoa Joe contract signing. And Mick Foley then says that, I told you, I asked you not to think I was stupid, but now I'm telling you that because I told you back in 2004 that Samoa Joe had it, and I wanted to see him coming to WWE, but then he didn't listen, and now he's come up, but he's with Triple H, and he didn't want it to be this way. And Mick Foley says that he's not going to stop him from doing his job and providing for people that they want. And he even talks about it that now they've lost a top star, going into WrestleMania. And he says that he begs Stephanie McMahon to let him do his job. Then he goes to walk away, and Stephanie McMahon's like, "Look out for that wire, Mick. I wouldn't want you getting in an accident." So I kind of like that they're going back to this, this tension between Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon. I fully expect something's gonna happen where like Triple H lays him out one week, or like Mick Foley gets. I see him getting fired. I don't know when he's getting fired, but I see him getting fired, and then Triple H is gonna be running Raw with Stephanie McMahon, at least going into WrestleMania. That way he can have his match with. That way they can continue the build up with him and Seth Rollins. So I think that would really work well. And then the next segment, it was Michael Cole interviews Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. And he goes to ask him his questions, but Paul Heyman interrupts him. And he says that this is with complete disrespect. And he says that he realizes what's at stake going into Fastlane. And then Brock Lesnar gets up, and he sits down in Michael Cole's chair and looks directly into the hard camera. And Paul Heyman says that that Kevin Owens thinks that he's a beast because of what he did to Chris Jericho last week. Kevin Owens thinks that if he doesn't take Brock Lesnar lightly like he did, he can beat Brock Lesnar. Well, my client disagrees, but I think that could possibly happen. But he says that my client Brock Lesnar knows that it just takes one spear and jackhammer for him to become the new WWE Universal Champion. And he says that, but then at WrestleMania, he's not only going to take the Brock Lesnar, Goldberg's health, well-being, and thoughts. He's going to take Goldberg's Universal Championship. And then that was it. I thought it was really good. I liked the promo here. I just really hope it's not leading to Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. Well, I mean, it is, but I hope it's not. I hope it's not going to be for the Universal title. It shouldn't be for the title. I don't want to see two part-timers fighting in the main event of WrestleMania, because that match is probably. I expect that match to be the main event because I don't know what else would be. Kevin Owens said a line earlier where he talked about how Goldberg came back to WWE for his kids to be a hero. And he says that heroes don't exist. There's only villains in this world. And I thought that was a great line by Owens as well. And then we had the main event. It was Braun Strowman versus Big Show. And they reinforced the win because of the size between Strowman and Big Show. And I did like the match. I don't know if it needed to be the main event. I would say no. It just kind of sucks because Kevin Owens is like the Universal Champion, but it doesn't seem like he ever gets the main event slots. He's been kind of like second fiddle when it comes to that. The woman's taking the main event slots, then You've had Goldberg and Brock Lesnar kind of take the, main event slots from him, and they had, now they're having this match take the main event slot, so it's kind of like, it kind of sucks. I expect Kevin Owens and Goldberg to main event next week since Goldberg's going to be on Raw, so I expect that to close out the show, because if it doesn't, then, what would be the point? But anyhow, so the match I thought was good. Not a great match, and the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome," but it wasn't awesome, but it was a good match, and they start chain wrestling each other. They lock up, and Braun Strowman actually ended up kicking up, which looked really impressive. Big Show ended up tripping Braun Strowman, and then Strowman lays Big Show out with a clothesline, and he dominates the Big Show for a while. He hits a couple of splashes in the corner, and he just completely dominates Big Show, but then Big Show starts to make a comeback, and eventually he hits a choke slam on Strowman, which was really impressive, and Strowman kicks out, and Big Show goes to lay him out with a splash. Strowman goes with a power slam. Big Show counters it and throws him in the corner, and then they go for the superplex. No, Strowman goes to go off the top rope. Big Show catches him with a right hand, and Big Show looked like he was in great shape in this match too. Strowman then kicked out though, and then eventually Strowman hits the power slam. It was kind of a weak power slam, and he covers Big Show. Big Show kicks out, so then Strowman takes his straps off, and Big Show grabs him by the neck like he's gonna choke slam him, but it doesn't have any effect on Strowman, so he takes it off, and then he hits the power slam on Big Show, covers him, and gets the win. And I thought the main event was really good. I thought it made Braun Strowman look like an absolute monster, that he just went out there and killed the Big Show. And then afterwards, immediately right after the match was over, Roman Reigns comes out. I like how his music just kind of cut right away. And he comes out and he fights with Braun Strowman. He hits a couple of Superman punches on him. He goes for the spear. Braun Strowman ends up hitting the drop kick. And then he hits a power slam on Reigns. And then he stands tall to end the show. And then that was it. So overall, I thought the main event was good. I like the fact that they're booking Braun Strowman like an absolute monster, and they're making Roman Reigns look like he actually has an obstacle to overcome by having to face Braun Strowman. So I liked it. And overall, I thought this show was actually pretty. I thought this was a good. I would say a really good show, just because there was a lot of stuff I liked on it. I liked the opening promo segment with Kevin Owens. I liked the opening tag team match. I like the stuff they did with Kevin Owens in general, taking out Sami Zayn. Samoa Joe, I liked what they did with him, taking out Sami Zayn. I liked the cruiserweight stuff on the show this week. I really didn't mind the tag match with the New Day and Rusev and Mahal, but I just thought it was a throwaway, so I didn't hate it either. I liked the segment with Bayley and Sasha Banks and the match that they had, and I like the interview segment with Brock Lesnar, and I like the main event. So overall, if I had to rate this show, I'm gonna rate it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a really good show. Okay, so I actually didn't even expect to be covering this, but I'm gonna cover it now because I just saw it this morning, but I just had a chance to talk about it now. So after Raw last night, I was even thinking, whatever happened to The Rock? I thought The Rock was going to show up tonight. Well, apparently he did. He showed up after the show. Because I had mentioned earlier in the video, he's doing something. He's producing a movie about Paige and her family and her life with wrestling. So this is, so he did show up last night. I don't know if it's because, he's on. He was filming stuff for his movie, so he didn't want it to be on TV, or if it was just something that for the live show or what. But The Rock had come out. He pretty much was just doing stuff for his movie. He showed like a trailer for it. Now I'm just kind of going based off what I saw online. I've only seen people, through their cell phones filming this. And The Rock had talked about how he's filming this movie for Paige, and he wanted the fans to make some noise. He told him to chant, "This is awesome." He told him to boo. He told him to cheer. A bunch of that type of stuff. And they had mentioned that there's going to be actors that are playing Paige and AJ Lee. Now, as everybody knows, AJ Lee is CM Punk's wife. So The Rock actually tried calling CM Punk while he was in the arena, but he ended up getting a voicemail, which I kind of wish CM Punk had picked up the phone, because could you imagine what would have happened? Um, and then that was about it, but it was actually really awesome. I could see why they didn't air this on TV, because this kind of seems like something you would air after Raw. But also, I didn't mind that they didn't air it either, just because maybe because they were doing stuff for the Rock's movies, so they didn't want it to make TV. But I kind of wish they would have had the Rock do something on TV, but it's what it is. But yeah, it was awesome to see the Rock back in the WWE last night, and this was all just, I thought, really awesome. And the fact that he called CM Punk was pretty damn awesome too. Okay, so now I'm going to do my preview for WWE SmackDown for February 21st, 2017. It's about to start in 6 minutes, so I figured I'd preview the show. And let's see if it can do better than Raw, which it does have that possibility to happen. So, here's the stuff that's going to happen um, for SmackDown. We're going to have the 10-man Battle Royal, where the winner becomes the number one contender for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, since Randy Orton gave up his shot last week. And it says, in the light of 2017 Royal Rumble match, winner Randy Orton's refusal to battle WWE Champion Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, General Manager Daniel Bryan has established a 10-man Battle Royal for tonight's SmackDown Live. The colossal contest will feature John Cena, Intercontinental Champion Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, The Miz, Luke Harper, Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Mojo Rawley, Apollo Crews, and Kalisto, and the winner will challenge the new face of fear on the grandest stage of them all. Who will have what it takes to seize the moment and propel himself into the main event at the Showcase of the Immortals? What will the Wyatt family have to say about it? Find out tonight at 8/7 Central. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with it. If I had to say, I fully expect Luke Harper to win, just because they have that past with the Wyatt family, and I expect Luke Harper to win the Battle Royal. So then also we have, it's going to be also Nikki Bella and Natalya will square off in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And it says, after months of verbal assaults, blindside attacks, and raucous brawls, Nikki Bella and Natalya will finally settle the score when they face off in a Falls Count Anywhere match on SmackDown Live. Realizing that this issue could not continue much longer without serious and dangerous repercussions, it seems that SmackDown Live General Manager Daniel Bryan was left little choice last week but to place the adversaries in a contest that is designed to produce all-out chaos. Who will come out the winner in front of WWE's most unpredictable showdowns? Find out tonight on SmackDown Live. And also, I fully expect Nikki Bella to win, though, and then it's going to lead to that lame feud at WrestleMania that I'll probably talk about in this video. But also is, will injured SmackDown Women's Champion Naomi be ready to fend off Alexa Bliss? Last week, Naomi achieved a lifelong dream by capturing the SmackDown Women's Championship from Alexa Bliss at WWE Elimination Chamber. However, in the process of carrying out such a monumental victory, the glowing superstar suffered an injury that rendered her unable to grant Bliss her guaranteed title rematch 2 days later on SmackDown Live. In response, the Wicked Witch of WWE opted to give the new title holder 1 week before coming back to take down what she believes is hers. Will Naomi be ready to throw down? What will Alexa do if she isn't? So that's going to be interesting right there. I fully expect either the match to happen, and maybe Naomi will just find a way to retain. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. And then the last thing on here is, how will the Usos destabilize SmackDown Tag Team Champions American Alpha? Speaking of putting champions on notice, the Usos have made it clear they are targeting their old friends, which it's air quotes around friends, SmackDown Tag Team Champions American Alpha. Considering the history between these two explosive tandems, it will be interesting to see what Jimmy and Jay are willing to do to become the number one contenders to Jason Jordan and Chad Gable on the road to WrestleMania. So we have a pretty interesting SmackDown that looks like is about to happen. We have that Battle Royal, which I'm looking forward to. We have the Falls Count Anywhere match that I'm looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the SmackDown Women's Championship match and with the tag team division. So now that I've kind of talked about that stuff, let's get to SmackDown. Okay, so now on to SmackDown itself. We had Tom Phillips, JBL, Mauro Ranallo, and David Otunga on commentary for this show. And the show starts off with Daniel Bryan coming out, and he cuts a promo saying that tonight he's going to be making the most difficult decision of his life as the general manager of SmackDown. He talks about the Battle Royal, and then he brings out Naomi, the SmackDown Women's Champion, and she comes out, and he says it's the same thing that he just said. And he talks about how he knows what it's like. You know, she feels like that she's on top of the world, but then injury just kind of got the best of her, and that's exactly what's happened to him. But then he says that we've talked over with your doctors, and you need to give up the SmackDown Women's Championship. And then she gets all upset about it, and then she grabs the mic and says that before that she does that, she wants to just say a few words. She talks about how she busted her ass to get the title. She used to work out in the gyms all the time, and how she worked for years to get the SmackDown Women's title, and she's had to deal with a WrestleMania match being cut. But then she finally got to the title, and it feels like, you know, that she was on top of the world at Elimination Chamber, but now it feels like that she's fallen off the mountain. So, but then she said that when she comes back, she's going to take the title from whoever's rented it from her, and then she gives up the title because Daniel Bryan had mentioned, you know, that if you can't defend your title within 30 days, you have to vacate the title, even though, you know, they've had champions recently where they haven't defended their titles in 30 days, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if you think about it in that way. But, you know, it was a way to get the title off her. So then Naomi leaves, and then Alexa Bliss comes out, and they have a little bit of a face-off. I kind of like that Alexa Bliss did this here because this made her look like a good heel. And Alexa Bliss says that now you have a problem. Well, first she talks about how pathetic that it was that Naomi ended up leaving and having to give up the SmackDown Women's title, and that she's proven that she can't handle the pressures of being a champion. And then she said that now you can't just go without having a SmackDown Women's Champion going into WrestleMania. So she makes the suggestion that since she had the rematch clause to begin with, and that she should have the SmackDown Women's title match. Well, she should be awarded the SmackDown Women's Championship. And Daniel Bryan says that you may be right, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to provide you an opportunity to compete in a match right now for the title. And she ends up facing Becky Lynch, which I guess made sense because he were two former SmackDown Women's Champions. And, you know, we had the match, and I thought the match was pretty good. Becky Lynch pretty much dominated the whole match, though. She hits a Black Exploder suplex onto Alexa Bliss, and she beats the crap out of her, hits a second one on her, then she hits a missile drop kick, and then eventually Alexa Bliss goes into the ropes like that heel where they don't want to be attacked. Then eventually Alexa Bliss chop blocks the throat of Becky Lynch, rolls her up for the win, and she becomes the new SmackDown Women's Champion. And Alexa Bliss actually made history because now she is the first ever superstar to become a two-time SmackDown Women's Champion. And Naomi, I believe, has the shortest reign ever as a SmackDown Women's Champion. So, you know. And I just realized, too, I believe Becky Lynch was injured for a while, and she didn't have to give up the title. Kind of weird. I mean, it probably wasn't 30 days, but still. And then afterwards, Mickie James comes out and congratulates her. and then she goes to attack Becky Lynch from behind, but Becky Lynch sees it coming, so she fights her off, and obviously they're still continuing this feud. So what I'm thinking is they're going to do a triple threat match at WrestleMania between Becky Lynch, Mickie James, and Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's title, and I'd be okay with that. It's probably going to be on the pre-show anyway, so it's like, what does it matter? And then Dean Ambrose is backstage, and they did this throughout the whole night where they were building up to the Battle Royal. Dean Ambrose talks about how, he lost his chance to main event WrestleMania because of Baron Corbin, but he says that tonight he has a chance to gain that the main event of WrestleMania, but he says that there's a chance for him to take off Baron Corbin's head with a clothesline. He's going to do just that. And then Kalisto's backstage, and he said that people say that I shouldn't even ever been a wrestler, that I should have never even got this far in his career. And he said that he's going to main event WrestleMania, and the whole crowd's going to be chanting Lucha. And then The Miz and Maurice are backstage, and The Miz goes over all his accolades about everything that he's pretty much done in WWE and in his movie role. And he said that he's going to take that to the main event of WrestleMania. And then Natalya gets interviewed, and Natalya talks about how Nikki Bella pretty much is a bad wrestler. She just puts on a fake smile for everybody, and that's and the feelings that John Cena have for her are all fake. And then she said that Nikki Bella's just been riding Natalya's coattails. I thought it was a good promo here, good way to build up the the Falls Count Anywhere match. Then we had the next match. It was a tag team match. It was Breezango versus American Alpha. And before the match, Breezango attack American Alpha. They beat the crap out of Chad Gable, and they pretty much dominate the whole match. And then eventually, Chad Gable attacks Breezango when they try to hit a double suplex on Jason Jordan. And they hit the electric chair running clothesline combo on Tyler Breeze for the win. So I thought the match was whatever. Then afterwards, the Usos cut a promo from the crowd, and they say that American Alpha really aren't all that good as a tag team, and the Usos are the best tag team. They've been a tag team for years, and they talk about how they're gonna pretty much how American Alpha is afraid of them. They're gonna go back to the hotels, and the hairs are gonna be standing up, and it's not gonna be paranoid because we're coming for you. And I actually thought it was a really good promo by the Usos. This was probably the best promo they've ever cut in their career. I could be wrong, but I thought it was really good. I think this heel thing's really working for the Usos. And then AJ Styles is backstage, and he's all hyped up saying that he's going to go to the main event of WrestleMania. And then Dolph Ziggler's backstage, and Dolph Ziggler talks about how he's going to take out and beat the crap out of anybody in the new generation. And he said that he's going to lay him out with a super kick, and then he super kicks the green screen behind him that has the show-off thing behind him. So I thought he cut a pretty good promo. And then Mojo Rawley's backstage, and he says that tonight he has an opportunity to go to the main event of WrestleMania, and then he repeatedly says WrestleMania. And then Luke Harper's backstage, and Luke Harper says that he was controlled by Bray Wyatt, and the reason why, but now he feels like he's free from Bray Wyatt, and he said that he's going to use this to win the main event of WrestleMania, or to win and go into the main event of WrestleMania. And then Nikki Bella gets interviewed, and she talks about how she's lost all respect for Natalya, and said that she's going to beat the crap out of Natalya pretty much, and beat some respect into her. Thought it was an okay promo. And she said that she's going to show why that she was the longest reigning Divas champion in WWE history. Then we had the next match. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match. Nikki Bella versus Natalya. I actually thought this match was good. I didn't think it was great or anything, but I thought it was good up until the finish. And I thought the finish was terrible. So the match starts out. Nikki Bella immediately tackles down Natalya, beats the crap out of her, and eventually she just immediately goes right after to a table, but Natalya attacks her before she can take it out. So then Natalya puts it back into the ring, and then Nikki Bella attacks. Then Natalya clotheslines her, And Nikki Bella then pulls out a kendo stick, beats the crap out of Natalya with it, and then they fight into the crowd, and Natalya gets the upper hand. They fight into the technical area, and Natalya goes to suplex Nikki Bella off the barricade, and then and also too before that, Nikki Bella had actually hit a roll up outside the ring that I thought looked really cool. But then eventually Nikki Bella pushes Natalya off the barricade, and then she hits the disaster kick off the barricade, covers her. Natalya kicks out, and then they fight back to the ring. And I actually kind of like that Natalya was talking crap to her, which I thought made this match. And then she throws Nikki Bella headfirst into the ring post, and she dominates the matchup for a while, beats the crap out of her, and eventually she tries to power bomb Nikki Bella through the announcer's table, but Nikki Bella is able to reverse it and hits an Alabama slam right onto the announcer's table, which looked really cool. And there was actually a botch in this match too, where Nikki Bella actually ended up falling with the power bomb. I thought that looked pretty bad. Then eventually Natalya gets Nikki Bella into the sharpshooter, but then Nikki Bella gets to the rope, so Natalya releases the hold, even though she didn't need to because there was no rope breaks. And then Nikki Bella Natalya hits a snap suplex on Nikki Bella on the stage, onto the ramp. She covers her. Nikki Bella kicks out. Then they start fighting to the back. Nikki Bella fights back, but then eventually Natalya pushes her backstage, and she body slams her onto an equipment box, covers her while she's on the equipment box, but Nikki Bella kicks out of it. And then they start fighting to the back. Nikki Bella and Natalya just really start laying away at each other. And then eventually Natalya throws Nikki Bella into Maurice, who was by some equipment area. And then eventually Nikki Bella starts to fight back. She throws Natalya into a mirror, which if you're going to do that spot, you need blood, because it's really not believable if you go into a mirror face first and you're not bleeding. I don't really. This is kind of why they need blood sometimes. But Natalya kicked out of it, which I thought maybe was a little too much to be kicking out of being thrown face first into a mirror, but whatever. And then they started fighting back to the ring. Natalya goes for the sharpshooter, but then eventually Nikki Bella gets the I forget what it's called, but pretty much the STF in on Natalya. And there's pretty much no way Natalya's not going to tap out, so she's in this move for a while. But then Maurice comes out and attacks Nikki Bella with a lead pipe and just beats the crap out of her with it, to the point where The Miz has to come out. The Miz has to come out and pull off Maurice. Not John Cena, but The Miz. So yeah, great boyfriend John Cena is. And then Natalya covers her and gets the victory. And that was it. I really didn't care for the finish, but the match overall I thought was good. The finish I thought kind of ruined the match, which is why I'm only saying that it's good. And I'm happy Natalya won too, because now Natalya can actually use this to build momentum to maybe go after the SmackDown's women's title. So I'm happy about that. But it really doesn't make any sense why Maurice is mad at Nikki Bella if they're trying to use this as a feud, because Natalya threw Nikki Bella into Maurice. There's really no reason for Nikki Bella to be pissed. It was a common accident. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense why Maurice is pissed at Nikki Bella. And why was Nikki Bella knocked out? She never got hit in the head with a lead pipe. She was just, and she hit in the body. She wasn't knocked out or anything. So I didn't really think that made any sense. So I just thought that was weird. Then we had the next match. Now, then next, Baron Corbin's backstage, and he talks about how he's going to be going on to main event WrestleMania. He's going to destroy anybody in his path. And Apollo Crews is backstage, and Apollo Crews says that Dolph Ziggler tried to take him out and injure his leg to prevent him from main event in WrestleMania, but now he has an opportunity, and he's going to take out anybody that stands in his way. And then Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton were backstage, and Bray Wyatt says that Randy Orton now has the keys to the kingdom. He's proven his legends to Bray Wyatt, and now that's not going to go unrewarded. And he says that whoever ends up facing him at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship is going to have to run. And Randy Orton actually ends up saying run. And it really still doesn't feel like Wyatt's WWE champion material. I just see him with this title, and I just don't feel it. It's obvious. I mean, it was 2 years too late, and he really should not be WWE champion right now. I was thinking like they did build him up, like he did beat Orton at No Mercy, then they were the sole survivors at Survivor Series, and then they were the SmackDown Tag Champions. But it feels like him actually getting to the title is kind of really rushed. This whole Wyatt family thing should not be over the WWE title. This should be over. It should just be a simple mid card feud, but it's not being built up that way, which is what I don't like about it. So. But then we had the Battle Royal where the winner becomes #1 contender to the WWE Championship. But before that happens, Jack Gallagher cuts a promo backstage on Tony Nese, and he pretty much says that he's going to beat him tonight. I really didn't pay attention much to his promo. It's not that I don't care for him. I think I was just kind of wanting the Battle Royal to happen, so I was looking forward to that. So, everybody comes out, and when Dean Ambrose comes out, everyone just starts fighting with each other, which I thought was cool. Ziggler lays out Cena with a super kick, and Baron Corbin hits the what's it called? The Deep Six on the Miz, and then eventually everybody just starts going off on each other, and Baron Corbin eliminates Mojo Rawley, and then Luke Harper hits a sick super kick onto Baron Corbin. Kalisto hits the Salida del Sol on him, and then Kalisto just starts fighting away. He hits a big kick to the head, and eventually him and Dolph Ziggler start fighting. They almost eliminate each other. Kalisto goes for the Salida del Sol on the apron, but Dolph Ziggler grabs his mask and he lays him out with a super kick, eliminating Kalisto. And then eventually Apollo Crews starts to fire away, and Dolph Ziggler tries to attack him, but Apollo Crews kicks him in the head with an enziguri and eliminates Dolph Ziggler, which I thought Ziggler should have lasted a lot longer than he did. Then afterwards, he grabs a steel chair and he hits Kalisto in the back with it, and this distracts Apollo Crews long enough for Baron Corbin to eliminate him. And then Dolph Ziggler tries to hit Apollo Crews with the chair. He knocks it out of his hand. He hits a big boot, knocking it out of his hand, and he chases Dolph Ziggler to the back. So obviously they're still continuing that feud. And I didn't really mind that Apollo Crews ended up eliminating him because it made sense, and it set up for Dolph Ziggler to kind of, do what he did. So then afterwards, Cena hits all his moves on Styles, and he goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle, but Baron Corbin lays him out with the End of Days. Dean Ambrose lays out Baron Corbin with the Dirty Deeds, and he ends up eliminating Baron Corbin. So Baron Corbin's pissed about this, and he pulls Ambrose underneath the ring, and he hits the End of Days on him on the outside. And then he's told to leave. So that was weird. And during this chaos, I forgot to mention to the Miz, before all this had happened, was the only one standing, and he started hitting yes kicks on everybody. And he goes for a big one on Cena, but then Cena eliminates him. So then later on, the Miz had come back out, and he ended up eliminating Cena, and he takes off, and Cena's obviously very pissed about this. So obviously now they're building up to that mixed tag team match between the Miz and John Cena and Nikki Bella versus the Miz and Maurice. And it's like, why? Like, I don't want to see Cena in the main event of WrestleMania. But why? But I don't want to see him used in this capacity. Like, why? This is just going to be a lame storyline. This is probably like the worst WrestleMania spot Cena's probably ever been in. Because he was in a pretty big spot last year. When it was him and The Rock facing the Wyatts, but then all of a sudden now he's like in a mixed tag match. Like, it's ridiculous. So then it's just down to Harper and Styles, and they start fighting for a little bit. Styles tries to eliminate Harper, then Ambrose tries to come in and eliminate him. But then eventually Ambrose almost gets his feet on the floor, but Ambrose is just able to hold on. And then Harper hits a super kick to the ribs, eliminated Ambrose. So then it's just down to Harper and Styles, and they just go at it for a while. And eventually they fight to each other on the apron, on the turnbuckle. And eventually Harper suplexes Styles out of the ring, but they both end up falling out. And they both get eliminated at the exact same time, so we don't know who won the Battle Royal. So eventually Daniel Bryan just comes out and says, we're going to have the decision next week. And Afterwards, Styles and Harper was pissed about it, and Harper lays him out with a discus clothesline, and afterwards Wyatt and Orton pop up on the screen, and Bray Wyatt just evilly laughs at Luke Harper. So, yeah, that was that. So the Battle Royal, I really wasn't a huge fan of. I thought it was kind of a mess. The stuff they did with Corbin and Ambrose, I get they're building that up for Mania, but then you had the whole stuff with The Miz and Cena. You had guys like they were saying that were elite superstars, but then you had guys like Mojo Rawley, Kalisto. Like, I think Kalisto's a good talent, but he's not an elite athlete. So I didn't really think that made a whole lot of sense. And the finish just ruined it all. I actually didn't really think the Battle Royal was all that bad, but once the finish happened, it just really ruined it. So you're pretty much like guaranteeing the main event of WrestleMania. And you want to get this main event, over with, but you're gonna wait a week to do something about it. What should have happened is they should have restarted the match. I mean, they just should have done that. I get they have like other program and they couldn't do that, but if they were gonna do this finish, they should have done it like 10 to 15 minutes before the show went off the air. Then they could say, okay, let's just restart the match, because that's really all you needed to do. You could have just restarted the match and just had Harper and Styles have like a regular wrestling match, or just continue the Battle Royal, something, because a lot of people tuned into this show to see who was going to main event WrestleMania, and you kind of made me feel like I wasted 2 hours of my time. You built the whole Battle Royal, the show around this Battle Royal, but yet then you just didn't have a winner. I thought, didn't really have a winner, so I didn't really like the finish for that reason. And it's obvious that Harper's going to win the match anyways. They're building to that match anyways, so why not just go with it now? Like, why couldn't we just have Harper say he beat like the top 10 athletes? It's like, come on. I just really wasn't a huge fan of the main event. But then before I rate the show, let me talk about Talking Smack. So we had Renee Young and Daniel Bryan on the panel, and Becky Lynch gets interviewed, and she talks about how much it sucks that Naomi had to give up the SmackDown Women's title, how they were friends, and how she says that it just was heartbreaking because she works harder than any woman that she's ever met in her life. And then she says that she's sick and tired of Alexa Bliss constantly cheating to beat her, but she says that it's also on her because she should have seen that coming, and she wants to know why Mickie James keeps coming after her, because she says she was a part of the women's revolution, but she was also a part. She was also like the under, she wasn't like as big of a. She was kind of like the, how do I say this? She wasn't the big picture as much as the other three were. Everyone thought she was underrated, and Daniel Bryan wants there to be she wants Daniel Bryan to make another match between Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's title. So I fully expect Becky Lynch to be the SmackDown Women's Champion at WrestleMania, which I'd be fine with, because it's time for her to finally get that big win and get that redemption against Mickie James and Alexa Bliss. That's kind of where the story I think is going. So I hope that's where it goes. And then the Usos get interviewed, and they talk about the reason they want to go after American Alpha is because they claim they're the greatest tag team ever. But then they hit the, but then they ran into the Usos who are paranoid. They said they're going to be the Bubble Bursters, which I thought was a pretty funny line. And Daniel Bryan actually too had told Mick Foley to suck it, because they had the SmackDown woman in 3 segments of the show, which I guess was cool. And the Usos, pretty much say they're going to take the SmackDown tag titles. They talk more about Naomi's, how Daniel Bryan forced Naomi to give up the SmackDown Women's title. They didn't think it was cool, so I thought that was good. And then AJ Styles gets interviewed, and I thought he was great here. And he actually made more sense than Daniel Bryan. It's like, why couldn't they just restart the match right there? He wanted to get it done right now. And there was no reason to not restart the match. He was all ready. but he said he's fine with waiting until next week because they had announced that next week it's going to be AJ Styles versus Luke Harper, where the winner's going to face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania for the title. And, AJ Styles pretty much diminishes Daniel Bryan, saying that he's the worst SmackDown general manager ever. He doesn't make any good decisions. And then afterwards, it gets to the point where Daniel Bryan forces him to end off the show, and then he does just that. And I thought AJ Styles was hilarious here. He was really funny. And obviously, too, it led to the Shane McMahon AJ Styles match because he mentions if Shane was here, this wouldn't have happened. I really don't want to see AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. It doesn't really make any sense. But, it is what it is. So overall, that was SmackDown for this week. And overall, I thought it was a pretty average show. And here's why. Because the Falls Count Anywhere match that I wanted to see had a crappy finish. This tag team match really was just whatever. The SmackDown Women's title match was just okay. The Battle Royal I thought was okay, but the finish ruined it. The fact that they didn't have a winner and they didn't just have Luke Harper win the Battle Royal was pretty lame. And it feels like this whole thing with the Wyatt family, whether it comes down to Harper and Bray feuding with each other, I'm fine with them feuding with each other, but it's obviously just leading to Randy Orton eventually just becoming WWE Champion, so why waste my time caring about it? So overall, I thought SmackDown was a 5 out of 10 show, and it was average. So now it's time for me to decide which one's better, and I believe I said Raw was better. I thought that Raw was a 7 out of 10 show. I just thought Raw had a better show. I thought Kevin Owens definitely made the show, the way he was acting. This was like a serious monster, Kevin Owens. The main event I thought was good. Let me actually just pull up Raw, because it's been watching a lot of wrestling shows. The Cruiserweights I thought was good. The tag team match between Enzo and Cass and Sheamus. Enzo and Cass, Cesaro and Sheamus I thought was good. The woman one is good on SmackDown. Actually, on Raw, I thought SmackDown had it better in that aspect. And I thought the Michael Cole interview segment with Brock Lesnar was good. So overall, I thought Raw was just a better show. Plus, Raw's built into a pay-per-view, so, But I thought, Raw just had a better show. So overall, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks, you guys, for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel and my Wrestling Fortune 44 and on the Talking Air channel. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.